I see your demons, I'm telling them it's on sight. I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Profitable Cleaner podcast. I am one of the hosts today, James Harper, with my co-host, partner, brother, and friend, Mr. Angel Sandoval. Man, I haven't done an intro for us in quite some time.
Yeah.
So it's just like riding a bike, though. So, hey, thanks for...
What kind of bike?
Probably a mountain bike for me.
Mountain bike? Yeah. Have you ever ridden a mountain bike?
That's all I've ever rode. So,
really?
Yeah.
In the street or in the mountain?
Both.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, hey, thanks for kicking us off with a prayer.
Yeah, man. Always.
So this is a unique episode. I actually wanted to kick off our podcast marathon here by interviewing you.
Okay.
I've actually never got the chance just to sit down and interview Angel Sandoval. And I think there's this mystique and this legend almost around you.
Right.
I think you're a little bit mysterious. Everyone's always asking about our partnership. They're always asking about our friendship and a lot of questions about you. And I know by time that this comes out, there's going to be some new news around Mr. Angel Sandoval. And just wanted to give the listeners a little bit of insight. So
yeah. Let's do it.
To give people a little bit of context, I consider Angel my best friend, my brother, business partner, obviously podcast host, and then event host.
Yeah.
And we were talking on the way to Dallas in like the last 2 years. We've done like 11, 12 trips together, multiple countries, multiple states, and we've done a lot of fun things.
Yeah, amazing life so far.
Yeah, exactly. My first question to you,
let's do this,
is recently you've made a decision, a big life decision, to kind of evolve into a new chapter of your life of joining the priesthood.
Yeah.
And that might seem extreme to some people, going from podcast host, sales trainer to joining the priesthood. Talk to us about that transition and what went into the ultimate decision.
Oh man, I mean that's a very loaded question because it's like what went into it, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody always asks me like what's that one moment or why did you decide to do it? But I don't think it's a natural calling that you get. I don't think it's something that I can confidently come in here and logically explain the transition or the decision, because in a logical standpoint there's no logic to it, right? There's no if I put in $5 I get this return. It's not that kind of logical move. I definitely think it's a supernatural, definitely something more from God giving that calling, right? And so I don't know if there's all that, but the transition has been fun. Obviously, you have to let go of everything that you own. You have to I'm going to leave the country. I'm leaving everything behind, not owning anything. And so I think the transition has been interesting because a lot of the times we don't realize how much value we put into things of this earth. Nothing wrong with it because we have to be in this earth. We have to enjoy the riches, right? We have to enjoy the fruit of the trees and the seeds that we sow. But then most of us put our identity into it. And so a lot of us depend on what we do to tell us who we are instead of understanding that we already have our image, right? We're made in the image and likeness of God. And so the transition has been fun, man. It's been very humbling, but it's also been a very graceful transition. I can honestly tell you, like, I don't think I've been heartbroken through this or been like, oh man, I got to leave business. Oh man, I got to do this. The only thing is I'll probably miss business. I would miss the game of business. I would miss serving my listeners, our attendees. But it's weird. God gives you these graces through these transitions that you wouldn't naturally have them. It's not like a natural inclination, right? Similar to marriage, a good husband, as soon as they get married, I'm not saying they won't be tempted by another female or that a woman won't be tempted by another male, but God gives them this grace where at the moment of marriage, all they see is their wife, and all they want is that family, and it's not a natural thing. A natural thing, a lot of people would tell you, oh no, like you gotta keep looking at. A lot of people say like keep looking at women. It's normal. It's a desire. Desires are different, but God gives you these graces where you can just keep putting that next step and that next step and that next step. Some entrepreneurs have the grace of not quitting, right? That's not normal. We're not wired to not quit. We're not wired to not leave when things get tough, you know? And so a lot of this transition has been realizing that God has given me a lot of these graces to keep moving, right? And so don't take those lightly. Now, if I would have said, like, my ego says, like, I'm very good at it, so let's get it. But it's definitely not by my own accord, you know, in all these transitions.
Absolutely. I think that's well said. Not by your own accord. We have a statement that we like to make. Are you interested or are you committed? And I love that saying because it really shows what level you're at. And throughout this process, obviously you're committed because you gave me a call on a Monday morning. I'll never forget this. You were, hey, I need to meet. When are you going to be in the office? And I was like getting frustrated. I'm like, I'm going to be there in like 15 minutes. And then you told me the news.
Yeah.
And then logistically, you know, how does that impact business, events, all of this stuff? And my mind didn't even go to the logistics first and foremost. My mind went to like, man, this is a commitment and it's a decision that shouldn't be taken lightly. And actually, I was really happy for you. You said that building your image in the image of God. I want to talk about...
Not building my image. We are made in the image and likeness of God.
Exactly. So talk to me, though. Like, I feel like your identity over the last 2 years has changed so much. How do you see your identity now?
I don't think you change identity. I think it's discovering your identity.
Well said.
Right?
Okay.
A lot of us talk about changing your identity.
Well said.
That's normal. We talk about that a lot. And it's like, no. You get better at who you are. You get better at what you do.
Yep.
Changing your identity is doing something different. Like learning a new skill, getting better at branding, marketing. That's changing the external image. But if you understand that you have the identity, like you're centered in Christ, that's where the worth and the true identity comes from. So I don't think I've changed personally from back to the whole like myself versus with him. From my own accord, I could say, yeah, I changed my identity, bro. Like I worked on this and I worked on that. But I'm telling you, I'm not changing anything. I'm discovering who I was always meant to be based on when I lean completely on him. Because if I base it off myself, dude, I'm just a sinner, bro. Like I have so many flaws. I'm a flawed man. We all are sinners, right? And they say like at the end of yourself, you'll find him. And so I don't think it's me rechanging my identity. I think it's me finding him in everything that I do and choosing him every day. That gives that part. That's
a really powerful statement, and I think that's well worded. What have you discovered?
It's like who is James? That's one thing, but who is James with God? Who did God tell James to be?
Yeah, who did you discover through that process?
Yeah,
that's really good. What have you discovered about yourself here?
Well, again, I don't know if. I think like I just let go of things that weren't it. It's like changing, like my shout out to George, he always says changing our old wineskin, right? It's just more like taking off the skin that was given to me by the world, that was given to me by the society, by the environments that I've been a part of. People don't realize it, but when you're born, you don't have all these things. Then you're slowly being put this different, like this different skin, right? This different clothing, this different identity. And we forget to look inside. We forget to really tear it down, right? So like one of the things that I've now encouraged people to do is go through the things that you have and ask them like, see, what would happen if I threw this away? What would happen if I didn't have this? Would it feel like you have less power? Would you feel less of yourself if you throw away this clothing? And if you do, then really think about what I just said, which happened to me. You know, it's like, how can my happiness, my identity be attached to a piece of clothing, a car, a salary? Doesn't make sense. Again, it's needed because you're not going to walk around naked with no money and broke. You would look terrible, right? But I'm saying like, where does your identity lie? What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today. And so like, I learned about myself that I always said that I was humble and I was simple. People would always, and I run an entrepreneurship group, so people would be like, no, you're not, bro. Like, what are you talking about? You do like the nice stuff. You like the nice stuff. You do want the hot girl. You do want this. And I'm like, maybe you are right. You're right. Maybe I do, because I do want to show it off. But it's like, what's the point? And then what? Is the question that one of my spiritual leaders asked me. And then what? And then what? And you keep doing that in the end. Then you get to your deathbed. And then you say, and then what? What matters there? Like, if you sit right now listening to this and you're like, James, what would you want in your deathbed? Then I would probably want to be surrounded by my family. I would probably be, right? Like, you start imagining all that. And then you say, how would you like to die?
Yeah.
They asked me that, like, right? And then when you go to heaven in Judgment Day and Jesus were to ask, cool, man, what did you give me? What did you do down there? Now, we're going to get into this whole other topic, but what did you do with what I gave you? What did you give me? And so when I did those exercises, I realized that I would love to die defending my faith. I don't see myself in a deathbed with family, which sounds crazy, bro. It sounds crazy to say. I don't see myself like, oh, man. No, I see myself like, almost like war style. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see myself. And then it's like, what would you want to tell God? What did you give me? I want to say everything, right? And it was a great exercise for me. What do you want to be remembered? I don't. I want him to be remembered. Right? That goes against everything that we've been taught in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's powerful. And if you want, like, if people ask me for a prime example of God, I have a few. And thanks to you, man, I now have a new one. A lot of people with the news of you joining the priesthood have asked me questions about your journey, which I haven't been able to answer. But I have actually noticed some changes in you throughout your discovery, and I think it even started before. I know it started before you ever made a decision. I think the last year I've seen you slowly become more graceful. Like, you're known for being intense. I think that's part of your core being, but you've learned how to be like graceful and still intense, and I think that's been a new side. And I do agree, like for me, it's funny how God works in your life. Like, you go through a divorce, and the first thing you did was you started giving away things.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't like, hey, I'm going to give away things because I'm taking a devotion of poverty, but somewhere in your heart of hearts, you gave away literally everything you owned, but like a bag of clothes and some books.
Yeah.
And then that led to like you discovering more within the Catholic Church. You take this trip to Spain, to Italy. Obviously, your sister has big influence on you in this realm. Talk to me about your experience in Italy.
I think they can have some influence, but not to these type of things. Not to these type of things. No one can. You can't look at like a friend. Like, you can't look at a parent or friend. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Can people force you into the priesthood? Of course. Just like the pressure, just like
I don't think you're being forced.
But I was definitely not influenced as in like, by my sister per se. What influenced me, other than, one, by the time I went to Italy and Spain, was to go discern. It wasn't it wasn't like I went to Italy, encountered something, and then I was like, oh my God, I did encounter a lot of things, a lot of conversations with God. But this dates back to September 24, which is kind of crazy. It's when the transition started happening. Luckily, I encourage everybody to get a journal, because I sat through my journals. Actually, you gave me a book. Remember that book you gave me where it's like habits?
Yeah, compete
and
every
it's like
day.
Compete every day. Well, I filled it out 5 times. I didn't really fill it out. But from those September 24th to September 30th or something like that, I actually have the pages. I didn't bring them, damn it. Those pages, you can start seeing the transitions of like, how can I spend more time with God? Was one of the questions, by myself. And then another question was, it said, what's something you know you need to do? and then it said visit Italy and visit my sister in Italy. I wasn't even divorced yet, right? But it's like these seeds start going, and so I think he starts laying out a plan, and all I had to do is just keep taking the next step. Trust me, this was not part of my plan.
Totally. I think,
right?
Dude, I think he started laying out this plan
a long time ago.
Oh, totally. So like 4 years ago or 3 years ago now, when you moved from Arizona to Denver and we were taking that 15-hour car ride, I remember you saying, I still view myself in ministry someday.
Yeah.
And you're like, years down the road when I'm retired, that was your plan.
Yeah.
But you had put that out there, that we've had so many conversations throughout the years, but that one statement has always stuck with me. And then when you went to Italy, you said, hey, I'm going to come back a millionaire, married, or a priest.
Yeah.
And hey,
it was a joke, right? But yeah, that was
it was a joke, but like, lo and behold.
Yeah, I mean, I've never, it's like one of the things that I struggled with here in the business side, and now I get why, is like, we always talked about it. I was like, hey man, I'm not the visionary here. I can't tell you where we'll end up in 10 years. I can't see it. I don't see it. But if you see it, I'll execute for you. I've always been known to just execute, right? And you've been a very good visionary, right? And now, once you give me the idea, I can start unraveling the ideas even better. But it was frustrating because I would meet my friends that like, they had their plan for 20 years. They knew where they were going. They wanted, like, not laid out, but they knew, like, I'm all in. And I would always tell you, I'm like, I'm in, and I'm gonna work it off. But I used to call myself, like, I would lack vision, right? And in the Bible, it says, like, the man without vision would perish. And I would always make me crazy because I'm like, man, I'm doing something wrong, right? Doing something wrong. It's always like I was trying to enforce the vision. And going in Italy, the one thing that did intensify was my end. And that's kind of how we ended up here. Now, this is going to take a long time, 8 years to become an ordained priest. It's going to take a lot for me, right? A lot with God. Like, it's going to be a different level. I might stay, I might get out. No one knows the future, but that's kind of what I want to encourage everybody. It's like God puts these callings, these downloads, these next steps in your life. They don't have to be as intense as like drop everything, go to the priesthood, love your parents. But he's probably told you, take that family trip. Maybe he said, you know what, do start that venture. Or, you know what, don't do anything but what you're doing now. Be present in that moment. And we don't even know how to take the next step because we worry too much about the logistics. We worry too much about the how. And it's not about the how, it's about the who, right? It's about who's asking, not why. People are like, oh, I need to understand why. I need to understand logistics. No, dude, that's not called faith. That's called control. It's who's asking. Is this learn? If most people learn to discern his voice, that would be half the battle, 80% of the battle. Because you got his voice, your voice, and then the devil's voice. All three, right? Figure out which one, and usually his leads to him. That simple. It will never lead you anywhere else, right? And so, like, some people have asked me, man, like, you don't think it's maybe like the devil telling you to go in there? Like, because it could, like, as a distraction. And I'm like, bro, the devil would never play with something like that. Because even if it was, let's say that it was, God would find a way to turn it and win.
Exactly.
You do never want to throw someone in vocation. Hence why the devil will never throw you towards marriage. He'll never throw you towards getting closer to God. He'll confuse you in the meantime.
Yeah, he'll try to separate that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Don't worry about the how, worry about the who.
Yeah, who's asking?
Yeah.
And similar to mentors, bro. Yeah. When a mentor tells me something, I'm not like, why would we do that? Who's asking? Oh, okay. I'll get it done.
Yeah. No, that's well said. The last 5 minutes here, because I know people have heard this news at this point. If you're watching this, you've attended the Takeover Cleaning Profits 3.0, and you got to see and experience some awesome things there.
We can go for 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially with Angel Sandoval. I want to ask you a few questions that I get asked.
Yeah.
And maybe you can answer them, maybe you can't. What is a devotion of poverty?
Well, it's a vow of poverty, and you just never own anything.
Yep. So what does that look like? So, like when you join the priesthood, what do you take with you? Like literally, like
So like you don't make income. You don't own anything. What you do own is like 3 pairs of shoes, 1 workout shoes, 1 sandals, and your regular shoes. You usually wear the same clothes. You just wash them and stuff, obviously. I'll be taking, I believe, like 3 pairs of pants and 3 pairs of shirts. At least that's what I'm doing. There is certain rules, right?
Hey, what's up, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by Cinch. If you're ready to take your commercial cleaning business to the next level, we have you covered. Maybe you're struggling with how to bid, how to create professional-looking proposals, or just how to ensure your customers' accounts are actually being cleaned at night. Introducing Cinch Janitorial Software. Cinch is a simple, user-friendly software that eliminates these types of struggles that you probably know all too well. Cinch simplifies your entire process and will supercharge your success because they remove paperwork headaches while creating a scalable, efficient, and profitable cleaning business. Get your free demo of Cinch at cleancinch.com. They're here to turn your business into a success story. That's cleancinch, CINCH.com. It's simple, it's Cinch.
We cut our own hair, right? You don't have a barber because you can't pay anymore. I won't have a bank account. You don't own anything. And if you do have something, it's not yours. And that's the key statement, right? That's what poverty means. And it's also not just physical poverty. That's one of the, but it's how you see like everything else, you know? Like, I'm not going to go out there just asking to get money and all that. We do have to beg because part of a poor person or part of is begging. So, you know, if you get called from Italy, I'm probably going to ask you for donations for a missionary. That goes to everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
No, but if you research it, you can go on Google and just put like vow religious order, vow of poverty, vow of chastity, vow of obedience. And I would be doing a dishonor if I try to explain it fully in detail because I've yet to live it. So
yeah, totally.
You know, but I know we've had guests that will be able to explain it better.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Mr. Angel.
Go to the episode with Father Luis Prado. That's the congregation that I'm going to be joining, or that I have joined by now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Angel Sandoval has expressed his desire to want to have a family, want to have kids someday. This is in the past, obviously. Yeah. Is there a piece of you that feels any type of sadness that like you will never have children or a wife or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think we've been in this world. We've been told that everything you desire, you must have. And that, listen, brother, that's not, I just don't think that's true. And that's okay. And I could desire it, but the question is, why am I desiring it? Who put that, again, back to discernment, is that a desire that God put in me? Now, of course he did, because he made man and woman. What our biggest calling, and one thing that I will 100% protect as a priest, if I become one, is the vocation of marriage. I think definitely that's something very important. Yes, is there a part of me that's like, oh, I would be a great dad? Sure. Could I be a great husband? Sure. But I am going to be married. The only difference, I'm married to a church. And the next difference is I don't have to, have sex to have children. I'm going to have spiritual children is what you call it. Like, there's going to be people depending on how I represent Jesus, right? But to me, it's a lot of people ask me more about what I'm going to miss, but they don't ever ask me, like, what I'm looking forward to, They're like, man, because we're programmed like that. Yeah. We're programmed to miss stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, if it's my calling, then I'm not going to miss it. Now, every time I see kids, every time I see a wife, every time I see, a couple, of course, I'm going to be like, what could have been? But there's no what ifs in God's plan. There's no such thing. If I sit here and wonder what if, then I'm not actually trusting in God's plan. I'm wanting to control the end result, or wanting to understand a bigger picture, or a more of the mystery or the mystic side of Jesus, and that's just not it. And that's kind of what the big difference or the change that I've noticed in myself and everything is that I used to be scared of the unknown, and now I'm excited for the unknown. I'm okay with the unknown. I hug. We say we carry your cross, right? I hug my cross. I embrace the cross. You carry your cross, whether the people understand it or they don't. It doesn't matter. It's about carrying that cross like Jesus did in Calvary, and doing it with love and embrace and joy and happiness,
Yeah.
So if I'm not meant to be a dad, I'm not meant to be a husband, then I'll do everything in my power to protect that vocation, to bring the masculine back into that to bring the feminine back, to bring them back to the church, to help them out, you know?
Well
Because
said.
there's a lot of broken families.
Totally. Okay, well, with that being said, what are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to? Weirdly enough, bro, one of the things in a micro level, being able to, I mean, Catholics, we believe 100% the Eucharist, right? That is God, that it is Jesus. And I can't wait for the day that I get to give that to my parents, right? Because it's a way of saving a soul through the Eucharist, through confession, right? If my parents are ever in their deathbed, or somebody that I love is in the deathbed, the fact that I would have the anointing to go and prepare them for the afterlife, to be able to pray for them, to be able to give them the Eucharist, to celebrate Mass for them, that's beautiful. To me, that's beautiful. I'm also looking forward to, I'm becoming a missionary priest, so I'm excited to give myself completely to the people. I feel like I've already done that here in the industry, and like I love doing that with events and podcasts. Anybody that knows me, I really don't care about money. Like, I really don't. I make it because it's part of the game. It wouldn't make sense to be in business, not make money. That would mean you're a bad business owner. And I didn't want to be the reflection of a bad business owner either, right? But what I really love doing is serving people. Like, that's my calling. That's what I love. Yeah. I love when it's not about me. I love giving it all to them. And so now I get to do that to the poor people, the homeless people, the older people, the people that need us.
The sick people.
Not saying entrepreneurs don't need us. Of course we do. But it's like the people that no one wants to pay attention to, those are my people. And we're all one body, you know? And so I'm excited to serve those parts of the body of Christ.
I have two last questions for you here.
Yeah.
And I do agree, man. You are a good servant. I've always described you as a servant leader.
And I'll say last one, I want to get closer to God.
Yeah.
To Jesus.
Yeah.
That's going to be a different level, I think, in my opinion.
I saw that yesterday with you. I dropped you off at Mass. Mass didn't happen. It wasn't going on that day. And you said, I got to spend some time with God and do some reading. And that's when I feel at home. That was like the word you said. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was 2 hours. And I went through the Via Crucis. I don't know. What do you call it? The Stations of the Cross of what Jesus, like the Passion of Christ, where, you know, they got him, arrested him. Like, you go through everything and you do prayer in between and you try to live out or at least reflect and pray on what he went through for us. Yeah. And it's in those moments that I'm like, oh, this is what I want. Like, don't get me wrong, I love traveling, dude. I've been traveling so much, and you know, we've been driving Teslas. Shout out to Dan. We've been living life. I'm not gonna lie. I just went to Six Flags. Like, I've been visiting friends. I drove another Tesla in Phoenix, and like life's beautiful. Like, I've noticed that life is beautiful. It's very hard to live a life of anguish and pain and suffering and bad. I'm not saying that suffering isn't good. Suffering is part of it. But then when I'm in those alone moments there, it's like, I don't need anything else. Like, I don't really need all of this. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's powerful stuff, man. And I see it. You're more than just words. And so I've always said Angel Sandoval's as advertised. It depends what you're advertising in that moment in life. But you were always behind whatever that was. And now you're advertising the Word of God. And I know you're behind it. So I'm going to wrap up with this, man. If your parents listened to this and you had one message for them, what would it be? If my parents listened to this?
When your parents listened to it.
When my parents?
Yeah. If you were to have one message for them.
You did good. You did amazing. You know, that would be my main message to them. Yeah. It's like, thank you. Yeah. You know, because they have 2 kids. And one of them is
that joined the religious order.
Yeah, a religious woman, and the other one's joining the same order. Yeah. But hopefully to become a priest. And so whatever y'all did, you did good. Yeah. You know, and thank you for praying. Because, like, my mom was praying for me to hit rock bottom for a while in my life. Like, to think about that, people would think crazy. Like, a lot of the other denominations, a lot of other people would be like, as a mom, how could you not pray for him to just get out of this and have favor in his life? My mom was literally praying for me to, like, hit rock bottom when I was going through some dark moments. I had very dark moments. She was literally praying that I hit rock bottom, so that I could notice that at the bottom was at the base of everything, my foundation, when I had nothing else, was God.
Yeah,
was Jesus.
Talk about having trust in God.
Yeah. And so she prayed for that.
Yeah.
And she got it. And because of, like, I hit rock bottom. And when I did, everything else changed.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
And so that would be my advice. Is just, I mean, my advice, my message to them would be thank you.
Yeah. That's the only message, yeah.
And you did great.
Yeah. Lapita, Javier, absolutely. You guys.
You were about to say, you should have just said absolutamente. You
yeah. Say no, I just, I think you have such good parents. And the other question I've been asked is, how do they feel about this? And I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Yeah. I hate to say that out loud. Like I'm grateful and I love them, but that's up to their feelings.
Yeah.
And part of the discernment and the vocation, or part of the advice, they have, they tell you, like, tell the people, but be, like, whether James likes it or not, whether, your parents like it or not, whether your friends agree or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? And again, back to that external validation of things. If my person doesn't approve, if my parent doesn't approve, if this doesn't approve, even though it leads me to God's way, that's the crazy part. A lot of people will not agree.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if it's something stupid, I get it. Right? But you're like, hey, I'm trying to spend more time with my kids, and someone doesn't agree with that, that's crazy. But a lot of people won't. A lot of people would tell you, no, spend more time in business. A lot of people would say, like, no, why are you treating your wife before your kids? Why are you... So many different things. Right? So it's similar to that. It's like, how do they feel? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not their calling.
Totally.
It's my calling. And it's up for me to discern, and for me to understand, and for me to really be convicted in it. Whether they support or not, doesn't matter. That they support is beneficial. Right? It just helps. Because I can talk to them about it. But that's about it. Right? And so... who cares? And I know it sounds terrible to say out loud, but...
No. I mean, listen, it's truth. It's seek truth, speak the truth.
Yeah, and people will disagree, or people will fight it if, from a selfish or an egotistical standpoint, unless they truly don't take a good standing on it. But, like, most people have told me, no, I know it's from a... Well, you're going to miss this. Well, I think it's this. Well, I think it's actually trauma. A lot of people have told me, I think it's trauma. A lot of people are... I think you're just coping through what you're going through. Why, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you can... No one just runs away and sells everything and becomes... You don't run away to that. That's not running away. If I wanted to run away, I would have doubled down on...
running to it.
I would have doubled down in business, bro. If I was really running away, I already know how to do that. Let me go and run behind my lifestyle and my money and sleep around, or do something. You don't run away in that sense.
Yeah, you definitely seem like you're running to something.
Yeah. You hug the cross. You embrace the cross and you carry it. You know what I'm saying?
Well... I appreciate you letting me have this last hour with you, asking you these questions. I've gotten questions like, how do I feel about it? And I want everyone listening to know that I couldn't be happier for you. I always felt like you were seeking something, and I felt like when you gave me this news, whatever you were seeking has been sought.
And we'll all seek. We all want to be saints, and at the end of the day, we all want to get to heaven. Yeah. Like, most of us don't actually think about it. So I would actually ask myself during the sermon, I'd ask myself 2 or 3 questions. One of them was, do I 100% believe in the Eucharist, in the transfiguration, transubstantiation? I never know how to say that word. Yes. Okay. Step 1. Step 2, do I truly 100% to the core of my heart and my soul believe in eternal life? Yes. Okay. So if I believe in the Eucharist, then I believe in the Catholic Church. If I believe in the eternal life, then I believe that heaven's real. That this is just temporary. So if I believe those 2 things to the core, why does everything else matter? Why do I need to go and run a business? Why do I need to? It doesn't, if the calling is priesthood, right? Right. Because again, most of us, we get stuck in the earthly stuff and the worldly things, and it's nothing bad. It's just like, right? Like, at the end of the day, if you think about your son's deathbed, what would you want that to be? Would you want them to have the riches? Do they care about the riches or the temporary life? Or would you want to make sure that because if you 100% believe in heaven, then you 100% believe in hell. And they're going to either or. And if they don't have a relationship with God, if they don't understand, the sacraments, if they don't, any of that, then where would they end up?
Yeah, that's powerful.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's really
so it's
powerful.
like those things. That's why I'm like, so you're telling me I could spend the next, 50 years that I have left in this world by the time I get ordained, maybe like 88 or 90, doing my best to save souls, to get souls to heaven. It sounds like a pretty good life if you ask me. Do you even know the buttons? I don't even know. Oh, there.
I was hoping it was the horn.
Well, I'll leave you all with this real quick, man. Always first things first. Thanks for letting me do this episode. That I know I wasn't. You kind of just threw it in there, so I appreciate you asking these questions or making this time. I appreciate you being so cool about it.
Yeah.
I was supposed to leave at a different day, and kind of, when God puts the stamp on it, everything moves at a different pace. You've had to kind of put up with the pace that we've moved at, but I appreciate you because you were part of that vessel. My sister always says, "Oh man, James is heaven sent."
Yeah.
She always tells me that. She's like, "James, I know he's not part of church. I know he reads his Bible, he does his own thing, right? He doesn't have." But she's like, "If you don't think there's that's a saint that you have in your life." That she always says that.
That's awesome. Well,
right? Because you're super graceful, but you've always been there to support me, whether it's financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And this time around, you said, "Cool, man, get out," which is wild. People don't know that. You were literally like, "Yeah, leave," which is crazy. People don't just do that. Selfishly, you could have said, "Stay for another year, stay with me, and then we'll figure it out." Now you were like, "Cool, man, go. I'll figure it out." And that, you don't hear that. A lot of people would get pissed if I would have done this. So just wanted to honor you for that. And that's the cross that you got to take up now. Now you got to put the weight that I had of the business that I was carrying, and you got to carry that cross.
Yeah.
And because I've got my cross to carry. So now we've all got different crosses to carry.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll be able to get help along the way, just like Jesus did when he was carrying his cross. Yeah,
man, I'm going to miss you. No doubt about it. I actually can get emotional when I'm thinking about it because, in a way, it feels like I've lost a best friend.
Of course.
But with that being said, it's not like the relationship just changes, but in life, all of your relationships change all the time, right? So if you truly love the person, people like you, we all say I love you, brother, and all that. It's like, well, this is the time to show it.
Yeah.
And man, I couldn't.
Can you love someone whether they're being your life or not?
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't be happier for you, man. And over the last 4 years, we've done a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, bro. And we're not done yet, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's like, if I never see you again after this podcast, we also have to be okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
We have to love each other so much, even when there's no means to the end. And because most people say they love people and their friends and all that only because it brings them something back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a utilitarianism is, I think, what it's called.
There you go, man.
You love me so much that you're willing to, I might never see Angel Sandoval ever again, and I still love him, and we're still best friends. And that's a different level of love, but that's how you should seek it. So make sure if you listen to this podcast, love you all. Thank you so much. I know we'll be throwing different things. You'll see me again. This is not going to be the last time you'll see me.
A goodbye.
A good boy?
A good boy. It's not a goodbye. It's just more like, hey, let's put the truth on the table.
And if you ever feel like you're going to quit in business, just remember that I'm probably going to be doing some mission work and doing some crazy stuff. So be like, if he can do it, I can do it. And use that as a motivation. But most importantly, lean into who God made you to be. If you get better at who you are, you get better at what you do. And when you understand that the core that who you are is sons and daughters of Christ, then everything changes. Your worth changes. So just want to thank you, brother.
Likewise, man.
Appreciate you. And I'm sure that by the time people listen to this, not only will the podcast be bigger, the event, the community, everything will be much different. And if you got some value from it, or you just want to support, reach out to James and make sure you show him the love of him having the guts to do this episode as everything's happening. So, man. Make sure you comment and show some love. So
love you, man. I got to give you a hug.
Love you, brother. All right. There you go. Very good. There you go.
I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of mistake.